Hello and welcome to around about the fifth video in the Alteryx Adventure series. What we're doing in this series is we are creating the technical integration side of the Alteryx Adventure from scratch. What we'll be doing in this episode is we will be preparing the Alteryx workflow and getting it ready to schedule on your server, so that you can automate updating of a Tableau visualization that shows the leaderboard, and also issue Credly badges as well if you choose to do so. So what we've got open here is the Alteryx Adventure workflow that is in the resources provided. And we need to come in and make a few changes to the workflow itself. So the first thing that we want to change is we need to replace this CSV with the SharePoint list input tool. So we're just going to search for a SharePoint list. List input. We're looking for online. This is our URL, and the list that I want to choose is the SharePoint list that we created earlier, which is the Alteryx Adventure list, and the all items view is fine. So now I can delete this CSV, which is just a temporary input, and replace it with that SharePoint list input. When we created the list, we created it with the column names not having spaces in them, whereas the original list that I'd created had spaces. So we can clean this up a little bit beforehand, just to make our lives a little bit easier. So I'm just going to drag in a select tool. And put the spaces in between the names again. We can delete this comment box now too. I'm just going to put form ID, form submit date. Challenge completed. Looks like it's already got a space there. Screenshot URL, link URL, level of certification, difficulty of challenge. We're not actually using any of the commentary in these, so I can just ignore those fields, and the approved field is fine as well. So if we hit OK now, we should see this error go away. So one of the things that we do is we do a deduplication, so that we can limit the chances of somebody submitting something multiple times. So here we're just gonna do a unique tool on the both of the URL fields. so that they will definitely be unique. I spelt difficulty correctly this time, which was causing us issues. Okay, so that's working. Now we've still got a few errors coming up, but we're just going to scan through this to find where those errors start to pop up. We can click on this. We could click on that. So we've got one here with get sent stickers. All right, I'm going to come back to those. Okay, cool. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to replace these browse tools with publisher Tableau server tools, so that we can publish the data source direct into Tableau server. I'm just searching here. Publish to Tableau server. We could drag this in. So I'm going to drag in a tool from somewhere that I know works. All right. So this one's been logged in successfully in the past. So I'm just going to copy that tool and paste it here. Excellent. Excellent. So I'm just going to change this so that it will not overwrite any of my prod stuff. So once you've signed in and verified your account, you can choose your project name that you want to publish the data source into, provide the data source name. In the output options, I'm going to need to change this to create so that we can create it the first time. And then you'll need to change it back to overwrite. And I'm happy with the data source format as .hyper file. Excellent. So what I'll do is I'm just going to copy this this tool and paste it for completed challenges as well. I'll just change this to completed challenges. And there's a third output we need to replace as well. just going to update this data source name. Okay, excellent. So we've replaced all of the output CSVs. The second, or the output browsers with the publisher tablet server output. The second thing we need to do is replace this CSV file with a database connection or other file connections so that you can keep track of the sent and pending accreditations. Because this is the demo, I'm just going to leave it as is, but if you're putting this in production, you'd probably want to have this as a database table so that it's persisted a little bit more easily than elsewhere using Tableau Alteryx server. Now the next one we need to find is we need to replace these Alteryx stickers new files with another file that's accessible by the server. And what this file does is it tracks who we've given physical stickers to. So if you're not giving out physical stickers, you can probably delete this portion of the workflow because it's not necessary for you. So at the moment it's giving me a file not found error. So what we can do is copy the file that's in the resources that we've given you, the Alteryx stickers _new file, into this directory. That we're working in. Copy. Paste, and now Alteryx should be able to find that file. On the next time that we run it. And with that, we have updated all of the required we've updated and fixed all of the required things for the Alteryx Adventure workflow. And now what we need to do is update the issue badges macro as well. So over here, we've got this issue new badges macro. If you're not issuing Credly badges, you can skip this step. But if you are, you need to open this macro so that you can edit it. And the first thing that we need to do is replace the Credly accreditation CSV with the same file that we created as earlier in the workflow. So which is this file here. So this Credly accreditation CSV. Because we haven't updated this in the demo, we can skip this step. But if you've created this this file and as like a database connection or something, then you'd need to replace it here as well. The next part is we've got some people on the adventure that we don't want to issue our Credly stickers to. So we've got a mechanism that controls who should be able to receive the Credly stickers, and all it is just a file with the emails of the people that are allowed to receive those stickers. So we can leave this as is, but you may want to replace that with something that is network accessible by Alteryx server, so that you can both reference the same file and make sure that your the workflow has the correct details as well. So we're just going to leave that, but what we'll actually do is we'll add ourselves to this email list, so that we can be issued a badge as well. So I've just added that to that Excel file and saved it. So now when we're testing, it will at least issue a badge to me. Okay, so the next thing that we need to update is the exclusion email list. So what happens is we're going to be sending an email to our adventure admins, and basically saying that where the name isn't on our list here, it will send an email asking if they should be added to the list. And sometimes when you don't want somebody added to the list, you want to be able to suppress that email notification as well. So you'd want to update this Excel file and add anybody that shouldn't be receiving Credly badges, and that you don't want to get spammed with emails by the adventure workflow. Again, this should be a file that's accessible by Alteryx server as well, so that when you publish, you can update it without needing to republish the workflow again. You can just update the underlying file and go from there. All right, the next one that we need to update is this badge mapping. So when you create your badges in Credly, you will need to capture the template ID for the badge itself and put it into the file and provide the track and level of that badge as well. And basically, we use the track and level to join onto the data so that we issue the right badges to people. But we need this ID when we send the request off to Credly later on. And there's a link in the resources that we've provided that shows you, that takes you to the API documentation for Credly, so that you can get an understanding of how to develop or to create these templates and then get the template IDs as well. So the next thing is on the emails that we send to our adventure admins, we provide lists or URL links in the email so that they can quickly update the two files. So you'd want to come in here and replace the stuff in these between these angled brackets with the URL link to first off the Credly OK file that we created in step 2 here, and also the email exceptions file that we created in step 3. So you just replace this text and this text with those respectively. And the next thing that we need to do is we need to come in here and adjust who we send the email to and from. So these, in the to field, you would put the adventure admins, and you just put yourself or maybe your service account in the from field as well. And that's basically just so that, you know, your SMTP server knows who's sending an email and where they're sending it to. So once you update those two fields, that should be fine. Okay. Next part, we go back into Credly API stuff. So as part of the Credly API, you need to generate a authorization key. Again, the link in the documentation will help you to do that. You would just add your API key here, and this workflow will create the base64 encoding for you, so that you can verify with Credly that you are who you say you are, and you can issue badges that way. And the last thing that we want to do, or second last thing that we want to do in here, is we want to over here. Okay, sorry. We need to update this tool itself, not this one. So this tool, this formula tool, and we need to update the issue URL, and we need to replace this organization ID placeholder with your own organization ID for your Credly installation. And the last things that we want to do is we want to update the outputs here to the same file or database that we are reading from in the input, so that we can capture whether or not we've sent the badges successfully, and if we haven't, we need to identify where the badge isn't sent successfully, which happens down here in this filter, and we need to attempt to resend it the next time that we run the workflow as well. So now that we've updated the issue badges workflow itself and saved those, we can jump back into the Alteryx Adventure workflow and run this workflow so that we can create those data sources that we can use for visualization. So I'm just going to hit the run button here and hope that it all works. Let's hope the demo chords are playing nicely today. And we've got an error down here at the issue badges. Because I've not updated this, I'm just going to disable it. But you need to fix whatever that problem is. And we've also got an error here at formula 191, which is a type mismatch error. That's because this CSV file is blank. So what we'll do here to fix this error is we'll drag in a select tool. And what's it saying? Type mismatch. Number provided where a string is required. So this should be a v-string. This as well. This as well. And that can stay. And we can attempt to run this again. So that error, if this file was filled out, would disappear. It's just because there's no records in it currently. Alright, so what we can see is that we've got our two test values that we've got. We only approved one of those that came through, and so we only really expect one thing to come through. And if we're lucky, that one thing is enough for a certification later on. Which it doesn't seem to be, because it was only a beginner challenge. Okay. Either way, we've now created our data sources that we can, now we have updated our Alteryx Adventure workflow, and we can publish this to server and put it on schedule and run it regularly so that we can continually update our published data sources as well as issue badges as people earn them. So what we'll be doing in the next video is we will publish the in the next video we will be updating our Tableau workbook to point to these new data sources and publishing it onto server so that we can share our Alteryx Adventure leaderboard with the rest of our adventurers, and they could figure out what tasks they've completed and what they need to complete to get to the next level. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.